Please hit the subscribe button for more content.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video from racingbetdata.com. Today I'm going to show you some brand new features and functionality rolled out now onto the live site, available to all of our advanced members. Of course, if you're not yet an advanced member, you can join today in the future and make the most of these features. Firstly, what I'm going to do is give you a walkthrough of what these new features are, and then we'll be able to dive into some real world examples using today's racing, 9th of October 2025. So before we look at today's data, let's get to the dashboard and generate yesterday's output, just so I can demonstrate the new layouts and functions. So for anybody not familiar, the data dashboard, this is the heartbeat of the site. This is where you can generate all of your outputs that you require, and you can also save your selection criteria, systems, and the output that you want to see. Previous videos are available on our YouTube channel, so I do recommend you familiarize certainly with the series that we've just released for beginners and new joiners. So I'm going to leave all of these top sections as default and simply scroll to the very end section here, which is to default to yesterday. Now, it is worth reminding everybody that you can export straight to Excel by clicking the button here. However, a lot of member feedback that's come to us has been from those who struggle with Excel, simply prefer a more visual guided approach, perhaps don't have the skills, the time, or even Excel available on their machine. So we've taken all of that feedback on board. We get it. There are over 2 million rows worth of data in the Racing Bet Data database, and not everybody is a data analyst. So what we've done, we've taken steps to make things more presentable, easier to navigate, and more granular, while still keeping the Excel export available for those more technically minded users that we have. So it is worth pointing out that I'm showing you this on a laptop today, but everything you see works just as well on a phone or a tablet or whatever the device you're accessing to see the site through. It's all browser based, just a URL. So you don't need Excel installed to explore the data, which is another reason these updates will make life easier for many of you. Now, as I mentioned, we've got data stretching all the way back to 2002, covering every race in the UK and Ireland. So that can be overwhelming at first, and this is where the patience required comes in. You can't expect to master the data in a few weeks or even a few months. We've got nearly 1,000 advanced members. Those who are really getting the results, and the ones that we hear from, are the ones that put the time in and persevere. And actually, speaking of which, I'm hoping to be able to bring some videos later this year featuring members who share their approaches, what's working for them, and the journey that they've been on. So that will be of interest, no doubt. Anyway, sorry, I've digressed a bit, but it's worth saying our pricing is really what sets us apart. There are lots of data sources out there, some free, some paid. Free ones might give you some basic stats or the data available, but you'll have to spend hours trying to turn them into something useful, manipulate that data. What we do is cut out all of that time. I use the data myself to trade and bet. Don't win every day, obviously, but I do win over the long run. And my processes take me less than 10 minutes each day, a couple of clicks around, some exporting and some filtering, and I know what I'm going to be doing for the day. We've built this platform here that does all the heavy lifting for you, essentially. So there's 2 tiers of membership: advanced membership. I'm just going to scroll to the top again for those unfamiliar. Membership, you can join today. It's a free basic one, which gives you a taster really of what the site's about. And then to become an advanced member, you can click here. 2 tiers of advanced membership. There's a monthly plan at £14.99 a month. Or there's an annual one which works out at less than £7 a month. This is by far the most popular choice with our advanced members. Honestly, it's ridiculously cheap for what you get. And since it takes most people a few months really to find their rhythm with the data, the annual plan does make sense. And you can see that's the one that I am on. Mentioning joint there, don't forget, if you're into football as well, we do have our sister site, Football Bet Data, that offers a joint membership option. monthly or annual, at a discounted rate compared to the 2 separate subscriptions. So you can choose whether you like racing, whether you like football, whether you like a combination of the both, and save yourself a few pence if you want to combine them. Okay, let's take a look through these outputs. You can see at the bottom here, we have the usual summary at top level. So this is yesterday's racing from the 8th of October 2025. So 38 races, number of horses that raced that we had odds available, number of horses that started the race. So it indicates that there was one horse that was withdrawn or pulled out. In fact, let's just check to see what that actually was. It might have been, I think there was one of those ridiculous races where there was just one horse participating in the race. So here's the output to Excel. I'm just going to very quickly have a look here. It's the quickest way to do it. So if we go to Betfair SP, there should be a blank. And we can see there that there was a race yesterday, 8th to the 10th at 2:05, horse Percy Shelley. And if we scroll over here, you can see there was one runner that race. Complete waste of everybody's time. So there was no Betfair or no betting odds available in a one horse race. Absolutely bonkers. So that's why we have that slight discrepancy there. So number of horses 353, but only 352 of those had odds. The place market, where there's a slightly fewer, that again is where we have races that's probably a 2 or 3 horse race, where the Betfair place market does not operate if the race numbers are too low. Okay, so let's get into it. Apologies, I have gone off track a little bit, but I think it's important to clarify some of these basic points before we get into the data. All of what you see below here is new. We have a key of headings that gives you an explanation of all of these headings in these tables. All the tables are the same. This is, again, it's just looking at yesterday's information, so I'm just going to give you an overview of what these new tables are, and then we're going to start looking at potential avenues to explore for today's racing. So we have the year, so obviously year, month, day are all one line because we're only looking at 1 day's worth of data. You've got the results overall, so these should marry up to what we see above here. So Betfair profit, if you'd backed every horse yesterday, you had a £10 worth, noting that this is to £10 or 10 unit stakes. You would have returned a profit of just over 0.7, £6.81 with commission applied. So you can see that that figure is consistent in these tables below. There may be a couple of examples where there's a rounding issue and there's a couple of pence difference, but usually those will all match up exactly the same for the place market. So if you backed every horse to place, you would have earned around 8 points profit yesterday. So yeah, simply year, month, day, all pretty self-explanatory. Then we can look at the ranking of the horses. So you can see how each horse was ranked, and then we have the UC unclassified, no odds available. That's that one horse in that ridiculous race. And the beauty of this, you can sort by order. So you can sort by Betfair profit loss. You can see that ranked 6 horses yesterday on the Betfair exchange were the most profitable, followed by 9, 10, 11. So clicking again, we'll see the opposite, so lowest to highest. You can see that yesterday favourites did not perform at all well. We can click on the strike rate option. You can see that the favourites actually were the highest strike rate, but the actual odds that these horses won at were obviously a lot lower because it is the favourite in the race. So overall generated a net loss. You can obviously see here as well, if I just click this button, this will return it to the original order. You can see here that we've got the industry profit loss and obviously each way. But if we're looking at industry profit loss and Betfair profit loss, you will usually see that the Betfair profit loss is higher than the industry profit loss, or a lower loss if you're comparing the two. So this figure should always be better. So what it's saying to you is that if you're not already using the Betfair exchange, certainly for singles, then you really should be looking into it. You're going to get better prices. Okay, the way that betting and trading has evolved over the years is pretty extraordinary. I remember the days when betting shop wouldn't allow you to place singles. You had to place doubles, triples, accumulators. So that was playing more into their hands. You're also obviously taxed on winnings or paid your tax up front. None of that's relevant anymore. But the revolutionary thing since the betting exchange has come on in the last 20 years is certainly playing into the punters' hands in terms of singles backing. So if you're betting singles, I would always recommend the Betfair exchange. Give you better prices, as you can see here. Certainly, as the rankings increase, the gap in the pricings extrapolate even further. Your favourites are not going to be too different. And obviously time you take your commission into account, but certainly some of the outsiders where you'll be getting 16 to 1 in a betting shop or trackside, you'll probably be getting 30, maybe even 40 to 1 on the exchange. So that's one word of advice for anybody who's a singles back or looking to get into singles back in horse racing. The industry bookmakers do still obviously have their place. Things like lucky 15s, lucky 31s. If you want to do combination bets, doubles, trebles, for instance, those are not always possible through the Betfair exchange. You can use the Betfair sportsbook, but then the odds are a lot lower, so they're basically a traditional bookmaker operating under the Betfair banner. The other thing that obviously Betfair will give you is the opportunity to lay. So you can see the lay profit loss column here, where you act as the bookmaker. So if we click on this one, you can see if you'd laid all favourites yesterday, you would have returned a 20-point unit stake after commission. Okay. Can I reset that to original? Let's flick through and have a look, see what else we've got. So we also rank the Betfair odds in brackets. So not 1.01 to 1.5, 1.151 to 2. And again, you've got your unclassified down the bottom there. And you can see your profit in each of these brackets. So although the favourites yesterday were a losing, if you backed all of them, would have been a losing strategy, actually backing your horses that were under 2, which is evens, would have returned 2 points overall. So it was the longer odd favourites that were the issue, and that's probably where most of these would have made up the numbers in the 2 to 4 category. We can then look at industry favourites and industry ranking by odds. Like I said, generally will give you lower pricing. So if these are things that actually you've got no interest in, you can click on the hide, and those will be hidden. Click on show, and it displays itself again. So hide the industry, and then hide the industry SP. You don't need to see those. Okay. Let's open up country. Let's open up track. So these are, again, pretty self-explanatory. You can see from yesterday's racing what country the races occurred in and which tracks those races occurred in. And you can see, obviously, the profit. So if you backed all horses at Navan, you would have ended up turning a profit. So probably a lot of outsiders won at Navan. Race type as well. So you can filter by that. And again, all of these are sortable. So you can sort by the number of runners, the winning strike rates, the Betfair profit loss, and then we set it to original. Race distance, again, these all should be pretty self-evident. The class of the racing, obviously the 0 here denotes the Irish racing that are not classified, and again that will be mostly the Navan races. Number of runners that started the race, so obviously worth noting that's different to the number declared. You do have late withdrawals, horses that pull out, and there's that one runner race, ridiculous race from yesterday where no odds were available. The horse age, official rating, again, so the 0, so these are the horses that haven't raced or have raced very lightly or have returned after a layoff that don't have an official rating, the BHA or the Irish authorities. Pace prediction. So pace ratings were introduced around September 2017. There was a typo in there. I'm going to get the E added. 2017. So obviously yesterday's all horses had a pace rating apart from some of the novice horses that don't have any information about them. Essentially what pace does is identify where a horse is likely to front run. So your 8, 9s, 10s, horses likely to front run during the course of a race. The 1s, 2, 3s, it's likely to be more of a held up horse. So in terms of determining the outcome of a race, this is probably not as identifiable as some of the other tables in here. But pace is a very handy tool if you're looking to identify horses' odds fluctuations in play, whether they're likely to drop, whether they're likely to increase and then come in. We have the RBD rank. So again, this is something we introduced around 2020. So if you see any UCs on these two, these are just simply where racing, we didn't have those ratings in place. So prior to 2017, prior to 2020, those will just be unclassified. But for yesterday, you can see our unique Betfair RBD rank. If you would followed all of our rank 1 horses yesterday, let's reset it, you would have returned a 33-point profit, only betted by the rank 7 horses. Okay, so we do apply a number of algorithms to each horse on a daily basis to give it an overall ranking and a rating. And like I said yesterday, you can see here that we had a strike rate of 34.21% for all top ranked horses, RBD unique rank. Number of previous races, again, grouped, you can see. One thing I haven't explained is the chart functions. You can click on the chart and you can see here Betfair Profit, the green. You can see here that previous races, none was the highest return on the Betfair Profit. The green bar you can see, again, hovering over all of these gives you the information in a graphical format. Simply click off. So you've obviously got it here as numbers in a table, but if you prefer looking at it in a graph, we have those added. Number of runs at the last 18 months. You can see here all the way through the number of runs. Last time out position, so where the horse placed in its previous race. Obviously, it hasn't run before, it would be a 0. And we have days since last time out. And again, if that hasn't run before, it's going to show a 0. And then obviously you've got throughout the year, and then anything above a year, there aren't any yesterday. That will give you your outputs. So now you've got a feel for how to generate and understand the output. Let's see if we can find some interesting angles for today's racing. So I'm going to scroll to the top here and put it on today. Actually, I'm going to put this on all, and we're going to start focusing on some trainers. So given the scale of the database, over 2 million rows and typically 30 to 50 races per day, there are endless ways to approach the data. That's why patience and experimentation are key. You need to give this time. You can't expect to master this in a few days. I've seen people try something for 3 days, give up, then come back months later expecting a magic formula. It just doesn't work that way. It's like trying to learn the piano or guitar. You don't watch 3 hours of YouTube, suddenly become Elton John or Jimi Hendrix. You've got to put the time in and show some patience. The same thing, exactly the same thing applies here. Patience, consistency, and curiosity. That's the things that you'll need to succeed. If you're the type to skip ahead because you can't spend 25 minutes, there's probably people watching this video who are just skipping through it rather than watching it because they don't have the patience to learn something properly. You're going to just end up holding yourself back ultimately. Think of it like investing, whether it's Forex, the S&P 500 or anything else. You don't just put that money in on the 1st of October and expect it to double by the 9th. It's a long game. Invest the time, learn, test ideas, think creatively, and those will be the things that help you progress. Okay, all right, lecture over. Let's look at some trainers with runners today. So I am going to go to today, and I'm just going to send this to Excel just so you can see this on the screen. Open the export up. No, Excel's not for all of you, but this is the quickest way. So we want to find a trainer that's got a significant number of runners, sort of 5 or so runners today, running later today. So if I go to the data, I'm just going to put it on trainer, and that'll be all I need. So I can select the trainer and the count. So we can have a look through here, find Andrew Slattery. So he's got 5 horses declared today. So we'll have a look at him to see if there's anything we can spot within the database. So if I put this back to all, so I'm going to go to trainer up here and type in Andrew Slattery. I'll bring up Andrew Slattery. The only other filter I'm going to apply at this stage, I'll probably just want to look at the last sort of 10 years or so. So I'm only going to filter from 2015 onwards. Now, some of the outputs, like I mentioned earlier, pace, for instance, we didn't have any pace data before 2017. Some of the supplementary filters, wins since last 5, last time out position, for instance, that data only got added 2021. So some of these earlier years will have a few unclassified races. But let's submit this and see what we get in our output. So simple rule, trainer, name, last 10 years. This will give us a top level output, and then we're going to drill further into tables and see what sort of data we are playing with. So we can see here top level, so this trainer actually overall is a losing trainer. If we look at the winner profit loss, but we can sort of drill down into the granular level. That's the beauty of these tables. They'll give us those angles to perhaps investigate and explore. So there are some of these tables that won't be applicable, so you've got to think logically here. So we're looking at a certain trainer. Would the day of the week, for instance, influence that trainer? Probably not. So this is something you could probably hide the day of the week. Hide day of week because that wouldn't really influence our decision. Month of the year, perhaps you could argue would. It could be that the trainer has horses that perform and certainly run better during the summer months or the winter months. So that could be something you would consider. But I'm going to focus more around the odds. And ranking of the horse. So if we look down to Betfair rank, you can just eyeball these. I'm looking at a couple of the columns. I'm looking at the number of horses in here to make sure there's a relevant amount. You know, you're not just looking at sort of 8s, 9s, 10s. There's a significant amount of runners. Consider the winning strike rate, although that will logically be higher based on the favourite, but wouldn't necessarily translate into profit. So I'd look at these two in conjunction with each other if looking at a backing system. And obviously, if you're looking at a lay-in system, you'd be looking at the Betfair lay, either lay market or the lay place market, and then you'd want a lower strike rate rather than a higher one, because this is the amount of wins you would see in those categories. Now the eye is already drawn here. You can see that the top 5, 6, and maybe even down to 8, that you've got a significant loss in here for rank 7. The top 5 certainly do give you something to think about. So Betfair rank in the top 5, Andrew Slattery horses, he's all of a sudden gone from a negative equity trainer with all of these losses here on the outsiders to a profitable one when he's putting top 5 rated horses into the market. If we look at the Betfair SP as well, so you'll see here predominantly the up to 20, so any outsiders 20.01 and above are losing horses, so you'd probably want to exclude anything running with a BSP of 20 or more. Now you can see it does have some wins here, but the strike rate is low and overall negative. So what I'm going to do straight away, and I'm not going to apply these, but I'm just going to add them into the dashboard. We're going to apply these filters in here. So we want to look at Betfair pre-race favourites. I'm going to uncheck that, and we're going to say favourites, second favourites, third favourites, fourth favourites, and fifth favourites. We're going to then filter by Betfair odds. So the maximum we want is 20. Okay. Now I'm not going to submit that at this moment because I'm just going to carry on looking through to see if there's anything else that catches the eye. Now these are intrinsically linked. They're significant to the trainer. It's clear there that there is a trend and something to be looked into. We're looking for trends and patterns, but remember, don't over filter or backfit. Always pay attention to the number of races behind any result, and always consider that, you know, historic data gives us that vision to the future, but it doesn't necessarily mean what's happened in the past is going to reoccur in the future. If the data appears to show something interesting, note it down like I've done. I've added those filters in, but always consider the sample size and strike rate alongside the profit. And again, like I said, if you're a layer, that's fine. The tools help you explore both sides of the market. Let's scroll through and see if there's anything else. I've not applied those yet. Courses, so running at Tremor, wasn't it? So losing on that track overall, But let's see what happens when I apply those filters. Distances as well. You can have a quick look down to see, and you'd probably want to group these into sort of under a mile, under 2 mile, under 3 mile. For instance, there's an even spread across there. Class, yeah, loses it. So these are predominantly the Irish. There's obviously most of his trained horses running in Ireland, and there's no class rating, so not really applicable for this trainer. You can have a look at the number of runners in a race, age as well. So it looks like 4 or 5-year-olds mainly there. We've got the official rating, pace rating. So again, as I said before, that's probably not really as applicable. I'm going to hide pace. RBD rank and number of previous races, runs in the last 18 months, last time out position, days since last time out. So days since last time out is interesting. You can see here that there's been consistent losses for horses that have ran within the last 3 weeks. Anything over 3 weeks, there's more of a profit. And obviously these are the ones that ran prior to 2021 that we don't have the record for. But again, worth noting, anything over 22 days or over since its last run has historically shown a positive return. So let's add that in here as well. Day since last time out, so we want a minimum of 22. Now, if we're using this one, we do need to click the supplementary filters, which means we're going to exclude those races prior to 2021. But let's submit that and then see what we get back in our return. Just take a second to load up. Now, all of a sudden, you can see here, we've obviously reduced the amount of races down significantly, but we do have a return on investment of 9.3%, so £322, so 32-point profit. We then have the smaller tables. Like I said, we've excluded by using one of the filters from the supplementary filter selections. We have excluded anything prior to 2021 or July 2021. If I untick this, let's see how that looks. Now, obviously, this filter is now no longer going to be relevant, and I'll get a warning when I select submit. Let's set this back to 0 to allow me to continue. And let's see how this looks. So basically what we're applying now are the odds ranges and the Betfair rank of horse into the output. And let's have a look at the return on investment in the top level table here. That's obviously increased 17.9, nearly 18% return on investment. And 242-point profit. So obviously those 6 years, we don't have that information. It could well be that the days since last time out is another significant factor, but actually excluding that does give us a nice looking profitable strategy. And you can scroll through here and you can see that the years, there's only 1 year, 2020, the COVID year, where there was actually a negative, and you can see the strike rate was well down in that year. But we all know that there was fun and games that year. The other thing to mention, we can copy. I know we're saying we want to come away from Excel, but we can copy and paste to an Excel document if we want to do that. Simply open a blank Excel workbook and paste, and that will drop all of your information into your Excel table. And then from there, you can apply filters, you can do sorting, same as you can do it on the screen there. You can sort lowest to highest or highest to lowest. You can create pivot tables. You can do additional analysis. So it's just worth pointing out that it's really easy to copy and paste any of these tables into Excel as well. Okay, final thing to do is add this criteria to a saved system for easy recall. Then we'll be able to filter and see if there's any qualifiers for today's runners. Now, the one thing to bear in mind when you're using Betfair or any of the odds in your criteria is obviously the SP isn't known prior to the race itself. So that will obviously be something you need to keep an eye on. So if you have an odds range cutoff, you'll need to be monitoring that, or have your automation software monitoring that to make sure that that horse or the horses fit within that criteria. But let's go to the save a selection. We've got no selection saved at this stage on my account, so I can add the first one in and show you how to do this. Add new. So we get a chance to name this selection. I'm going to call it Andrew Slattery, and we can select all of these that apply. So we want to filter by Betfair, favourite to fifth, Slattery, any age, any pace rating, any weight, not exclude any of these. SP range is Betfair, and the range was up to 20. All of these, and then we didn't use the supplementary filters in this instance. We selected the last 10 years, 11 actually, including this part year that we're in, all months, all days of the week. And what we can do is select today, add this selection, and if we go to the dashboard, we will see the selection here. I've spelled his name wrong. And selecting that will automatically generate the criteria that we have pre-saved. So top 5 in the Betfair ranking. Andrew Slattery is the trainer, and then the odds range Betfair SP up to 20. Now, if I apply this, it's probably going to return nothing because I have entered the odds ranges for today, and those are unknown. I do just need to make sure I've ticked these. I'm going to change this in the save a selection, so these are automatically ticked by default. And then if I hit submit, yeah, you'll see there's no records available today. However, if I go and uncheck these, select all, and clear the range, I should now see his selections for today. There you go. So you can see there are 5 horses, and if I go show results, you will see those in list order, which can be exported to Excel. Now you can see here the predicted odds. These are industry forecasts. It looks like you might have 2 selections here. These ones look like they're going to be rank outsiders, so 2 to keep an eye on in the same race here. Rock Etoile and Queen Ethelflad. Not that I can say how that's pronounced. So 2 horses potentially to look at just from that system that we have created, honing in on the odds. Now, as I said, there are so many ways, so many different features, functions that you can tick, different avenues to explore. This is why it takes time. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible with these new features here. If you're already an advanced member, jump in, start exploring. If you're not, please visit racingbetdata.com to get started. And remember, the more time you invest, the more the data will reward you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more useful content.